in HR tech if it ever happened. So anyway, good luck with all of that. So anyway, we're live, everybody. Welcome to Brainfood Live on Air, bringing it to you every week, no fail. It is episode 237. We're nearly there, folks. This is the penultimate one for the end of the year, because we're going to finish it off in next week. We're going to take a 2-week break because it makes no sense to do a Brainfood Live during the holidays, because even I've got better things to do than to speak to you lot. So yeah, we've got 2 more to go for this year. So thank you everyone for watching, tuning in, supporting, sharing, broadcasting, and all the rest of it. It's been fabulous to be with you. And we're going to continue with our series, looking back on 2023. This is episode 3, and we're going to look back on, let's face it, the most important tool that all recruiters need to use. It is LinkedIn. What has changed in 2023 with regards to LinkedIn's content, with regards to the content you need to get viral on LinkedIn? What's happened to the newsfeed? What's happened to the search? And we've got 2 of the leading industry experts to come and join us for this. That's Andy Foote, who's going to talk to us on the content and the branding side. And we've got Irina Shamaeva tuning in from California, I believe, who's getting up early as she always does, and talking to us about search and what the changes have been when it comes to finding candidates. It's going to be great, folks. So if you want to learn more about what's happening in LinkedIn this year and just get a bit of a sense check as to all of the changes that have occurred, this is the show for you. Irina's already there. That's crazy. Get some sleep, Irina. But no. Okay, let's do some sound checks before we get any further. I want to make sure everyone here is okay. I'm really confident in the new mic and the new audio we've got. So let me know in the chat if you're watching this on Crowdcast, whether you can hear and see me okay, or at least whether you can see Adam also. We should be live streaming this in multiple places. My LinkedIn, several other people's LinkedIns. So let me know if you're watching this and you can hear me okay on LinkedIn Live as well. I had a disaster on LinkedIn yesterday, by the way. Tried to do something, set up an event in a new way. And I think you mentioned, Adam, LinkedIn actually went out for about 30 minutes, didn't it, yesterday or something? And I was caught in a loop. You know, when you try something and the platform goes down, and when it comes back up, it's still trying to do what the thing is what you were trying to do. And I was just getting blank screen, not happening, not working, please refresh page, all this kind of stuff all day. So it was a mess. All right, it looks like people can hear me okay, and it's all fine, which is all well and good. Cool. All right. Well, before we kick into the main part of the show, we have to thank our sponsors. As always, folks, every single week, Brainfood Live has been sponsored in 2023. This week is no exception. And it's been one of our new sponsors that have done it this week. A really interesting company called Pinpoint. And if you recall, the survey I conducted in 2023 about the most popular ATS that people were using, Pinpoint were one of 2 companies that did not get a negative rating, not a single one. Everyone who did rated the company rated it as one of the best in the marketplace. Didn't get a single detractor, and I've been keeping an eye on them ever since. So it's wonderful that they're helping support Brainfood this year. But hey, don't allow me to talk about Pinpoint HQ. Sort of ATS, should I say? Because we've actually got a CEO of Pinpoint dialing in from Jersey, and he's going to tell us all about it. So let me just invite Tom on. And it'd be wonderful to have a chat with Tom, see what he sees the world to be, and why he decided to enter this crowded space and seemingly had some amazing early success. It's actually a question I'm going to ask in a poll to come, because I do wonder whether 2024 will be a year where a lot of companies might be thinking of changing their core systems. Foundational work might become to the fore if the operational growth isn't as aggressive as it has been. So I do wonder whether people are thinking seriously about changing and upgrading on ATS. There's Tom. Tom, wonderful to see you. Wonderful to meet you, actually. I don't think we've ever had the chance. So great to see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, really appreciate the opportunity, guys, and keep doing what you're doing.
Great stuff. Tell us about Pinpoint, man, because it's such a fragmented market. I think I read there's something like 5,000 ATSs out there, like literally trading right now. The recruiters are using it, and I'm thinking, okay, do we need another one? then you guys emerge, and suddenly people are raving about it and saying, you know what, Pinpoint seemed to have something here. What got you started on the idea of Pinpoint, and what makes it good, Tom?
Yeah, no, thanks. And look, you're right. It's super fragmented market. Lots and lots and lots of people trying to do the same stuff, right? And I think a lot of people think it's very commoditized. I think we sort of think we do things a bit different, right? So why did we get started? This is my fourth business. I had an absolute miserable failure at the beginning, and then 2 sort of easy learning experiences, and sort of realized, I'm not that good at engineering, but I'm reasonably good at kind of organizational design and team building stuff. And so thought there was an opportunity to productize that. In terms of the market opportunity, we're not here to poo-poo other ATSs, right? There's some folks doing awesome stuff at different segments of the market. I think we try and do kind of 3 things a little bit differently. I think first and foremost, customer experience is like super, super important to us, and everybody says the same crap there, and nobody loves a sponsor message either, right? But like our average response time is 46 seconds to a customer query, and that's averaged over 6 years. And I think we work with lots of organizations that, I don't know, like we work with lots of organizations that are used to having ATSs throw technology at them and hope it solves the problem. I think we kind of understand there's a lot more to it than that, which is why we working with folks like you guys. But yeah, like customer experience and customer success is super important to us. I think we try and think of 3 different types of stakeholders, right? Rather than just focusing on the recruiter, although that was obviously our core audience. We try and build tools for hiring managers and for candidates too. And we think that we can kind of extend our tendrils into more of the recruiting ecosystem. And then lastly, we just care about design, right? We've had the benefit of watching others play in the ATS category for decades now. And we think we can kind of move a little bit quicker than those folks and sort of learn from their lessons and take something a bit different to market.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's going to be very interesting as well, because I think one of the ways in which we could solve candidate experience issues is, of course, to find a way to enable candidates to figure out where they're at in their sort of process. We know the predominant reason why candidates are upset at recruitment experiences is because they put an application in, they just do not know where that's gone. I know obviously someone knows because it's in the ATS. So is there a way in which they can actually interrogate that and figure that out? So yeah, very interesting to see that journey that ATSs in general might go on, and but also Pinpoint as you might go forward. Okay,
Can I add something?
Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
Yeah, quickly add something that I don't really believe. Like, if you can order some food and you can go onto Uber Eats and you can see literally where on the road your driver is with your food, why can't we see where we are in an application process?
You know what? This tells everything we need to know about your dietary choices, Adam, because it didn't occur to me at all about this. But yeah,
I don't cook. I don't say anything about my dietary choices. I'm not having fish suppers.
No, but you're right. Like Uber, for instance, like one of the things that solved the mystery of where the taxi was. It literally showed you the map and it tracked you. So that solved the anxiety issue about, is this thing arriving? That type of experience needs to come into recruitment on the job seeker side. No reason why it wouldn't.
It's a consumer service. It needs to be treated like a consumer service.
Yeah, and 2024, by the way, folks, is going to be such an important year for CX because of the amount of job applications that are out there are increasing. The amount of competition for opportunities is increasing. Everyone feeling economic anxiety as well. So anybody who nails the CX, I think, is going to be in good shape. Okay, Tom, listen, how do people find out more about Pinpoint? So where do they go?
Yeah, so pinpointhq.com, all one word, is the best place to start. There's loads of content in there. Hopefully some of it's useful, even if you're not interested in buying an ATS right now. And please reach out to me if you ever can. I'm on LinkedIn. My name's in the picture, right? Come find me. Would love to chat. Yeah, it'd be great to
and Tom, you do have an amazing, you have an amazing second name, Tom. So I didn't want to even risk it, but can you pronounce that for me, please? Yeah,
good effort there. It's Hackwell, just like Hackwell, right? But yeah, no, I am still very easy to find. And yeah, just basically come find us on the website. We'd love to engage with you in some form. And the other thing I'll say is, like, I saw Bob in the chat, you can track your pizza but not your job application. It's just like a really nice, concise way of summarizing the conversation you just had. And I think people sometimes think that stuff like this is just for recruiters to kind of listen and learn, but like actually this is how we shape the product, right? And so like just being here and listening to this stuff is super helpful. Thanks for the chance.
Yeah, that's a great one-liner by Bob. I'm gonna repeat that. That's marketing collateral for somebody. Tom, really great to see you, man. Hopefully, we'll get the chance to chat soon. Hang around for the rest of the show. It's going to be really interesting to see what recruiters think about LinkedIn this year. So great to see you, Tom. We'll catch you later, sir.
Cheers.
You know what's going to happen? Everyone's going to start building these maps with like visualizations as to where people actually move in the candidate funnel. I think it'd be great. Why doesn't that exist?
I need more and more inspiration from the consumer technologies that everybody uses in their everyday.
100%. Okay, before we get into it, Adam, let's review the newsletter real quick. Did you read it? And if so, what was interesting from last week, mate?
I did. I saw that.
I can hear already.
What? No, I can see the head. No, it was fine. I mean, I thought I'd got the wrong newsletter. The first couple, I thought this was Gen AI Brainfood, but once I got past the 40 bits of Brainfood about generative AI, I found some good ones about recruitment as well. So the top TAs receive a 90% response rate. I mean, this was for engineering hiring. I saw the headline, I was like, not again, this same subject. But actually, when I went into it, I thought, yeah, no, this is pretty good because it goes into a bit of detail. So what it's recommending that you do, or what it's telling us that the top performers, this is for outreach, first stage outreach, in-mails or whatever, to potential candidates, specifically in engineering, but it applies to everybody, I think. The percentage of people who are referencing the candidate's profile get a much higher response rate, is very high. Also, those that are representing, that are talking about specific details of the job get a better response rate. Those who are discussing the next steps and what the process is and what the person needs to do, rather than just a vague, are you interested kind of thing. And then the percentage who start with a general greeting, like, I hope this message finds you well, or some crap like that, they get a very bad response rate. So, yes, it's good. Liked it.
Yep, good report. And by the way, Core do a wonderful job of publishing this stuff. They don't have a massive marketing team, but they really pull the data out and explain what it is. Of course, I think 90% is a big number, but that's like people within Core. So these are candidates that are kind of semi-active, so to say. So the caveat on the big number there. But some of the tips I think are just solid, irrespective of whether you're in a talent marketplace or you're just sending out on call. It's like you have to follow up. You have to be personalized. You have to tell people what to expect next if they say yes. Like if they say yes, I'm interested. Like what does that mean per se? Give them some indication as to what the process will be. Basic stuff. You look at it again, you think, you know what, this is recruitment 101. But how many? The most important lessons are the ones that we've forgotten. So have a look at that. I've read it. I've just shared it in the chat stream there. Make sure you avail yourself of that. And indeed, a lot of the free content that is on that website. Okay, cool. Give us a couple of others, Adam.
Yeah, Indeed's hiring lab produces a trends report. So the UK trends report came out, and it was quite doom and gloom about jobs in the UK. But what I found most interesting was the categories of jobs that have had the most sharp decline in postings over the 12 months up until about the end of November, I think it was. The top one was loading and stocking. And I'm not entirely sure what that means. Is that stocking in a shop? Is it loading things into vans? I don't know what it is, but that's down 93%. That is a post-COVID thing. If that's down 93%, and that's the jobs that I just said, that's definitely a post-COVID thing, because pharmacy was number 2 with postings down 80%. So I don't feel like, I think that was a little bit, what's the word? Like, not really representative of a consistent pattern for those kind of areas. But then there's other things like construction down 70%. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about, the housing shortage and the government's, I'm not going to make this a politics show, again, like I sometimes do. Retail down 55%. I do get that, because we are getting a lot more delivered to us. Hospitality and tourism down 55%. Is that because there was a massive spike in 2022? Probably. Really interesting report, though. Well worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn, sorry, not LinkedIn, but Indeed's Hiring Lab do another company that produces good content. So that segment in particular is just designed to try and pull stuff out of Indeed and trim it out to us. Of course, again, the context is these are jobs posted on Indeed, so it's not necessarily indicative of everything that's out there. But it's useful to just see what the trends of posting activities are. So do check it out. Don't be overly concerned about doom and gloom. There is a seasonality to this as well. Of course, most people are switching off towards the end of this year. So there's that kind of context. But you'll definitely want to bookmark. It's a good source for general market intelligence. Cool. One more, mate.
Adriano Herdman's 90-day blueprint for you're the first TA leader into an organization. I think it's mainly startups. You're the first TA leader into the organization. You're the first TA person into the organization. Here's your first 90 days in a blueprint, just a kind of simple graphic. First 30 days is audit. Second 30 days is implementation. Third 30 days is setting things up for scale. Love it.
Yeah.
Simple. Great stuff. And he produces loads of good things.
I didn't realize that he did. I think it's the first time he's been featured on the newsletter, so I'll definitely keep an eye on him in future.
He does.
Because this type of content is just like gold dust, simply because it's chewable immediately. It's snackable. It's one pager. It's kind of like a kind of a canvas where you can just see all the elements in one shot. And if you're starting a job in the first instance, and you want a checklist, you could do far worse than this thing that Andrew put together. So yeah, do check it out. Really, really good. Okay, cool. Let's get into it, Andrew. So should I say? Let's bring on Andy Foote straight away. Without further ado, you and me are pro users of LinkedIn, by the way. We're fairly active. I think you're posting every day these days, right? I'm posting regularly as well. And so I think, but I don't think we're technical experts. We're probably just like super users. Let me ask you a question, actually, Adam. In terms of your experience, 2003, how would you describe how LinkedIn's changed for you? What have you noticed? Or how have you adapted your behavior from what you think is the case?
I mean, I've got different goals from the start of this year. I started this year as an executive at iSIMS, and then spent half the year unemployed and started a new company. So I've had completely different objectives throughout the year. One thing I have noticed is the last few months, probably the last 3 or 4 months, engagement absolutely tanking. And like, it's been a problem for me. I mean, I've said it on here before, I think. Like, at the beginning of this year, I would get very regularly, I'd be getting like 5,000 views on things that I'd post on LinkedIn every day. And now I'm getting maybe 1,200. So, I mean, it's really, really fallen off a cliff. That's the biggest thing I've noticed this year.
Yeah. So engagement on LinkedIn, has that actually gone down? Friends, let me know in the comments what you think on this. Has LinkedIn, in your posting and your behavior on there, have you noticed that engagement rates have fallen? If so, let me know in the chat. If not, also let me know in the chat. I think they did tweak it in sort of middle of the year in terms of how they kind of recorded things. Again, Andy's going to correct me on the timeline on this. And that basically reset the numbers. I'm not sure whether engagement per se has changed, other than perhaps how they count it. But yeah, it seems that you do have to work harder. And you do have to kind of do different things. I wonder whether overposting might be a thing as well. The frequency of posting and all that type of stuff. But anyway, let's get Andy Foote on. He can tell us all about it, because this is definitely something that he knows more about than us. So hang on, there's Andy. I'll just grab him before chat gets rid of him. Andy Foote, here we go. Boom. Irene, I'll bring you on when Andy's come off, okay? Yeah, cool. I think Andy's based in Toronto, isn't he? I think he is. Let me ask him.
He's based in Illinois.
Is he?
Glencoe, Illinois.
I thought he was in Canada.
Well, it's very close to Canada.
Okay, well,
you've only got Wisconsin above that, and then it's Toronto.
Surely he can be more accurate with that. Where are you based, Andy? Are you in Canada? Or...
Why on earth did you think I was in Canada? What WTF, huh?
Seriously, no.
You visited me. We've had tea in Glencoe, Illinois. No, we haven't.
No, we haven't. Although let's make that happen. That sounds like an attractive proposition for 2024, Andy. But listen, Andy Foote, wonderful to see you. You probably need no introduction, but let's do that anyway. Andy, quickly announce who you are and what it is you do for a living, please.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, and my name's Andy Foote.
Amazing. There he is.
You know, I run a micro community called Optima Blue, and I've been blogging about LinkedIn for the last 10 years. I've got 54,000 fucking followers. Big deal.
No, but it is a big deal, and
it's
not only about the follower count. It's also about your kind of engagement. Not only your own research, but your engagement with other people that are deeply into figuring out how LinkedIn operates. So I think a lot of people that want to get better on LinkedIn in terms of view count, in terms of profile improvements and so on, do pay attention to what you say. So let's not understate what you know about it, Andy. Adam, go ahead.
Can I just add that Optima Blue sounds very, very much like a vaping product, by the way. I'm going to go buy some Optima Blue.
Adam, thanks for pointing out that I should have come to you for branding advice before finalizing that. Yeah, appreciate it, brother. No, but Hung, your point is absolutely bang on. It's not just me. It's me standing on the shoulders of others, and we're all bringing info into the mix and trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, LinkedIn don't tell us what's going on, so we need people like you as almost like the scouts into the kind of the wilderness to figure it out for us. So from 2002, sort of end of 2022, 2024, 2023, last 12 months, what would you say have been the significant things that have happened on the platform as far as you're concerned?
So LinkedIn, in their defense, would say that they do tell us. But from our perspective, it's too general. They tried to explain, what was going on with the algo in a few videos, and it was so basic and just totally unhelpful. So they're unwilling to show us what's actually happening. And perhaps they don't know themselves. But the biggies for me, Hung, and Adam, and there were a bunch of changes. LinkedIn changes weekly, but most of them are, in the minutia category. But the biggies for me are collaborative articles, the AI thing that we're seeing, and we've seen it, for a long time, not just this year. We've seen it, for example, in the prompts that you get if you're not quite sure how to say something in Messenger or via a post. Then we got those prompts, so that you could look upon that as AI. But the AI proper is via the collaborative articles, where if you engage in that, if you do that on a consistent basis, you get these badges, these sort of trophies, which then fade away. So they want you on that hamster wheel if you're into getting those badges.
I
talk more about that. Go ahead.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you got a little cookie online, like a digital cookie to keep you.
Dude, no. Please don't downplay it. It's a top voice, which you can imagine is pissing off all the other actual top voices that have worked so very hard and spent lots of money greasing the pumps. No, they haven't. Top voice is a different kind of top voice. Yes, indeed. So there's this bastardization of the original top voice, but you too, ladies and gentlemen, can be a top voice if you plug the gaps of these collaborative articles, which is essentially AI generated to start with, pretty dry, pretty boring, hopefully accurate, but who knows? And then you plug those gaps with your expertise, and by doing so, other people get to vote. Adam does that. I don't just give him one of the 5 reactions. No. I move all the way along to the reaction bar. I give him an insightful, because I'm trying to tell him, Adam, I'm doing more for you than 98% of those other people voting for that badge of yours, son. I'm going to give you the insightful. So go ahead.
On that note, it makes sense to collaborate. Folks, have you been invited to contribute to a collaborative article on LinkedIn? Let me know in the comments if that's happened. I've been invited, but I've never actually done it. But it's probably a mistake, because I'm thinking now, if I had actually written like three lines or whatever, I would be on an article that LinkedIn would probably amplify everywhere. I'd probably get a massive boost in terms of follower count or whatever. And maybe it will help give me some algorithmic gains in some way, in the sense that, next time I post something natively, LinkedIn might, give me the great favor of giving me a couple of extra views on this. Does that make sense, or am I just speculating completely off piste here?
No, it makes complete sense. I mean, the other thing to point out about collaborative articles is that by dint of the fact that there are articles, they'll be indexed on the World Wide Web, so you get that extra publicity too that you wouldn't get with posts. So it's cool from that perspective. I think at this stage, Hung, people are doing them because, frankly, they want to try them. It's a relatively new feature. With new features on LinkedIn, generally LinkedIn wants them to succeed. So you may get a little boost in whatever it is, whether it's followers, whether it's increased traffic on your profile page. Apart from the external indexing and the badge, there may be some added benefits to doing it for sure. Visibility is certainly there. People will see that you have contributed. Will they read it? Will they pass it and think to themselves, "Wow, Hung knows his shit"? Who knows?
Yeah, and basically there's no reason not to. And if you have an interest in drawing more attention to yourself for whatever reason, a lot of us do, business reasons, etc., it makes sense to do it. If you're job seeking, absolutely do it, because you need more eyeballs. So I can totally see this as a valuable thing to get involved with if you've got something to say. Adam, go ahead, Andy.
Yeah. The other thing that sort of along the same lines, but is very recent, is LinkedIn have very kindly started to give us newsletter analytics. So that's previously it was so this is quite good news, quite a biggie. Previously, it was minimal. We managed to see a long list of subscribers, which is horrible. But now we're getting analytics very similar to what we'd get with posts. So we're getting trends. So you can see article views, you can see new subscribers over the last 7, 14, 28, 90, and 365 days. That's significant if you are invested in newsletters on LinkedIn. So newsletters are just a string of articles. They're under an umbrella called a newsletter. But now we're actually able to see what the hot ones are, right? How we're performing over time in terms of getting additional audience members, as well as those trending analytics. So that's very cool. Check that out.
I'm about to ask, where do you actually find this? Because I'm a prolific newsletter writer on LinkedIn. I haven't got a clue about this.
So it takes some hunting around, but go into your newsletter and then start clicking around, and you'll eventually find the analytics piece of it. That's the best advice I can give. All right,
wow,
just go there and click.
I can't believe I haven't even investigated this, and I'm up to 143 newsletters on there, so I should really know, but I don't. Okay, listen, folks, are you setting up a LinkedIn newsletter? Because I think everyone's got the right to do this now. I know people are saying, there's how many newsletters out there? Yes, I know it's a bit of a bandwagon-esque, but my opinion is you probably should do it if you're running a business or you're trying to get your voice out there. Why not is my default position on most of this stuff. So have a think about it, particularly if you are have an interest in extending your audience and extending your reach in any way. Adam, obviously you're upset, so go on, say
look, I mean, why not? You said why not about set up another newsletter. If I was you, then of course a newsletter, but I'm not going to set up a newsletter because there's enough newsletters out there. However, I have just looked at a post that I put on LinkedIn 3 hours ago. One thing I have noticed, my engagement has absolutely been tanking. But certainly if I post just a couple of sentences, it gets a lot less views than if I expand the rich content within the post itself. But I've just looked at one that I posted 3 hours ago, and I thought it was okay. And it's got 348 views. And there's an image on it. I mean, that's terrible. I might as well not have bothered, posting it in the first place. However, it's got 2 reactions.
Are you upset with this, basically?
I'm very upset. I'm very upset with this.
Yeah.
But my question for Andy is, I mean, is LinkedIn rewarding people who are posting, a lot of details on specific things because it's aiming to capture as much data as possible for its own generative AI.
I mean, that's possible. What they've told us, right? I can't speak for LinkedIn, but what they've told us, there was a big interview, Adam, with entrepreneur.com on June 26th, and it was Dan Roth, Alice Zhong, and Jason Pfeiffer, the editor of entrepreneur.com. It was a podcast, and Jason wrote about the podcast, and there were 8 takeaways from me. And it was the key ones were related to the algo. So the latest algo change is designed to encourage value content, and that was implemented around May, June, which kind of ties in with what we've seen in terms of our content tanking. And it's not engagement, is it? It's the views. If you don't get the views, then of course you're not going to get the engagement. You've got to have people actually looking, seeing. Right? Not just seeing it in their feed, but clicking on it and then engaging on it. As I've said many times before, a great piece of content that is read in silence is a shit piece of content, right? Because it needs to have engagement. Even if it's the best piece you've ever written and you've invested so much time and effort, if you get one reaction or just 3 comments, then no one else sees it, because the algo, as far as we can tell, is looking for engagement as a positive, one of the positive signals, right? If not the positive signal. So, grounded and value, encouraging value content. What the heck does that mean, right? LinkedIn throws out these terms like value, and it doesn't then tell us, okay, here's an example of value, or specifically, Adam, this is the kind of value that your network, your audience will appreciate. And gives an example. Or looking at the past 6 posts, right? These were the high value, these were mid value, and these were low value. Doesn't even have to tell us, frankly. But if it gives that kind of categorization, then we have, it's more science than art. So what else did they say? They said that the LinkedIn algo looks at both the user's profile page, the topic, and the type of content. So it's looking to see whether or not you are indeed the expert in the stuff that you're putting out. All right. If it's not, if it's related to rugby, right, or your kids, or anything to do with the festivities, upcoming festivities, not relevant as far as the algo is concerned. If it's related to setting up a recruiting company, at startups, etc., you're talking about that. Yeah, relevant. So that's part of the mix. What else? According
to by
Alice,
far,
yes, go ahead.
By far, the most engagement I got on any post in December was a post about rugby.
So there you go, right? So it's seriously, I mean, that's great. So what they're telling us is not matching in real life. So that's a problem, isn't it? Because then we are completely confused. So you're saying we've got to produce content that is primarily has some value to it. Not going to define value. Then they tell us that they have seen an increase, a 40% increase of people consuming content grounded in knowledge. Well, what kind of knowledge? Is that knowledge about rugby? I mean, again, knowledge and value, we need more of a steer. We don't have a guide. And now what LinkedIn have done is they've created our engagement between 30 and 40%. And it's the new norm. That's what it is, folks. Regardless of the why, that's what it is. And so, I've paused. I've pressed pause. 3 months ago, I went all in to LinkedIn Audio. I started a micro community, Optima Blue, at the beginning of this year. Right. The next stage is newsletters. Oh, you're giving me analytics? Great. That's data I can use. I'm going to do more long form content, or perhaps only long form content, until I figure out what the hell's going on with short form. Other things you could do trending topics. So you could essentially get into the good graces of LinkedIn news editors, where they will do this amalgam of posts. And if you're featured in that, then great, you get visibility. Okay, for adding your voice and your content there. So those are just some of the tactics that I'm using now that posts have become this rather barren ground.
Yeah, so I think basically everyone's agreeing a little bit on this. Engagement wasn't as it was. That doesn't mean it's disastrous. It just means the new bar's been set. and we've got to calibrate back on what that means. I think one of the key points, again, this interview needs to be one of the most important interviews I think probably we've seen this year, which gives us a window as to how this algorithm works as it stands. But the idea is it's going to connect your profile data with what you're posting about. So that's actually important, because it means you need to go back to your profile and give it an audit and make sure that you've got terminology in your profile that reflects what you're talking about today. Adam, you're talking about your sort of situation changing over the last 12 months alone. So it might be the stuff that you had in your profile 12 months or so ago, no longer exactly what you want to talk about now, needs a tweak. So I think that ability to go back and rethink as to, what are the key topics. I think you can tag what topics you care about, for instance, and then you got to just lean on those when you go and talk about it. So that is very, very interesting indeed. Okay, Andy, you talked about some other things that were interesting and worth trying, touching on just a little bit. Things like video, rich media, audio, creator mode. Any significant things that have happened in 2003 on those aspects, non-textual stuff, basically, on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so collaborative articles was the biggie. If anything, they've taken away. So they've taken away the headshot video. If anyone spent time investing in putting on this, whatever it was, 20, 30-second opportunity to impress / inform on your photo, you could click on that, it would play automatically. They took that away. So that was in the negative territory, Hung. They haven't really done anything that is non-textual that I can think of. They have done more on the security side. So you'll perhaps remember that we lost a bunch of followers or connections, and that was because they said they went through and decided who was hibernated, who was fake, and so no longer active, whatever. So they took those away, and they also offered verification by Clear in the States, and it's called something else. Hold on a second. It is called Persona in other countries, but 40 countries so far. They're expanding that. So these are positive signs in terms of keeping or improving, the quality of the platform in terms of members are who they say they are, hopefully active. What else? But nothing really on the content creation side, my friend. The other thing that I didn't mention that is on my plan to do, and I encourage other content creators to do too, is if you're not already doing it, LinkedIn is not the only channel. Clearly, it's a very important channel, certainly in my mix. But others, for example, content is content. So if you can transfer your content type and certainly, if it's high quality and it's getting engagement, then think about other channels like YouTube, TikTok, or text channels, which increasingly are now audio and visual channels like Medium, Substack, Ghost. So other places just because LinkedIn has, created in terms of engagement, and Hung's right, this is the new norm, but it's not gone away completely. You still have an opportunity to shine and to build. Do consider these other channels where if it's simply a matter of reposting without having to spend much time repackaging it, then you should be doing that.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Andy, I could speak to you all day, but I don't want to keep you kind of on any further unnecessarily, because it gives us opportunity to bring you back early next year to forecast what is happening for LinkedIn in 2024. But always great to have you on the show. Folks, do follow Andy if you just want to get like ambient updates in terms of how LinkedIn actually works. The follow itself is going to give you a couple of pluses on that. So Andy Foote, great to see you. Let me take the opportunity, by the way, to wish you all the best for the holiday period. Okay. And I'll see you next year, mate.
Lovely. Thanks very much. Love to see you both, guys.
Very cool, very interesting, and again, this is just gold dust. By the way, Adam, I read your post, and you know what? I don't think it's actually very good. No offense, but it was kind of like it was just basically talking about poetry, which is fine. But it was like saying, "Hey, this is great," and then there didn't seem to be any like what am I meant to do with that other than just accept that you've said it was great? Yeah. I'm sorry, mate.
But regardless, I've written much worse posts than that, and I get a lot more impressions.
All right, guys, do everyone a favor. Jump onto Adam's LinkedIn and his last post, and just give him a few views. That's gonna help him feel better for the weekend. All right. By the way, as we're doing this, and before we bring Irina on, we want to make sure that before we come off air, we all kind of are able to continue this conversation. Even though Brainfood Live comes off air, the only way to do that is to make sure you're connected with everyone else who cares about this topic. So take a moment, grab your LinkedIn URL, share it in the chat stream if you're watching this on Crowdcast. Wherever you're watching this on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, share your LinkedIn URL in the comment thread there, and then just connect to everyone who you see do the same. You're going to walk away 20, 30, 40 new connections, which is going to basically help you get all the visibility and good stuff that we talked about before. So take a minute and go ahead and do that. Okay, let's get Irina on, who's going to give us a different angle on what is going on with LinkedIn, more on the search side here. Go ahead.
One thing that I am pretty certain you despise as well, and I really despise it, is the way people have resorted to tagging 30 people on their post in order to get, honestly, like some just untag myself, and some of them I just mute the discussion. But I know that that's a bugbear of yours as well.
It's a new form of spam, isn't it? Where people are just begging for you to amplify, begging for signal boost, and it's like, you know what? I'm not quite sure I'm interested in doing that. And it is a pain. And if you do it, you end up sort of just being in a massive notification like avalanche, because every time something happens, you get notified. It's annoying. So yeah, please don't do that, everyone. It's not good. Do you know what? I reckon Irina might have to give a talk, because Sosu AI is on right now, and I do wonder whether she has to. No, she's here. Let's invite her on. Make sure that she's there. By the way, there's a really cool conference happening right now. Sosu are doing kind of a last minute AI focused conference, and everyone who's kind of getting involved in recruiting, sourcing, and AI seems to be giving a talk there. So it looks fantastic. I've not had time to tune in, but if you do get the chance, it's probably well worth checking that one out. Oh, there she is. Good morning, Irina.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very good. You look very cold, Irina. Are you okay? You're in California. How's it?
I'm in California, so I have very high ceilings, and California is not supposed to get cold. And my heating system is a joke, you know?
Oh no.
Anyway,
so I'm sorry that you're cold in California. That's okay. Sounds horrible.
So let's talk about LinkedIn. And I see David Galley in the audience, Mike Santoro, Joseph Kaldek. If you want to add your voice to whatever we're discussing, please do so. And we're talking about LinkedIn search and data, right?
100%. I'm going to share your LinkedIn URL in the comment thread. Obviously, everyone should know Irina. Just follow Irina. It's going to help you out. Okay. Tell us what you know, 2023, so the last 12 months, what has happened on LinkedIn search as far as you see it, Irina?
So one thing that happened we're talking about skill-based searching, right? Everybody's talking about that. What happens on LinkedIn is, so recruiters go on LinkedIn, everybody types the same search, filling out a lot of stuff, finds the same people. We find about maybe 10% of people on LinkedIn. Engineering wants us to find more, okay? So they've decided, let them find people who did not put stuff in the right places. We'll assess profiles and assign skills to people, okay? So they assign skills in the ways that A, the person enters themselves, B, they're in the keywords, C, they are in an attached resume that we cannot see. And the funniest thing, if your connections have a skill, they assume you have it too. Imagine that. Okay, so now it results in this. Search for example, the word JavaScript. You get very comparable numbers of results. So it doesn't make any difference. Keywords versus skills, and skills is a messy thing. Like suppose a skill was pulled out of a resume that you don't even see. What do you do with this?
I see what you mean. So basically there's like skills adjacency.
Skills is everything. And very, very interesting. Like, you know how many people have skill lazy? Like 30,000. So it's a very interesting thing. On the other hand, so there was a big push for that before there has been some AI rolling in, and then there was the announcement that now we're really doing AI, which makes me concerned given the state of LinkedIn software. So they want us to find more. LinkedIn Recruiter has a severe bug where we're not finding 15 to 20% of people who work at legitimate companies, point to their company on LinkedIn, and are not found as employees of that company, are not found by any company size or any company type. An example is Ford Motor Company. Okay?
Why is that, Irene? What's your theory?
Thousands of people, because LinkedIn is clueless about interpreting the data. Okay? You know how LinkedIn assigns seniority, for example. If you're an executive, an assistant to a CEO, it will give you an executive level of seniority. It happens across all the things that LinkedIn calculates. Now, you can avoid using seniority and function, which I highly recommend, because they just, as soon as you select any value, like function or seniority, first you will be finding the wrong people. But more importantly, you won't be finding senior people, for example, or executive people, because LinkedIn failed to categorize this data. Okay, so it failed to categorize somebody who works at Ford Motor Company. It fails to categorize somebody who would be a senior hardware engineer. LinkedIn doesn't know their seniority.
Yeah.
And then we are arriving at AI. How can AI be, dropped on top of this mess where like elementary QA has not been done? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's really bad.
I think just not to defend LinkedIn in any way, because obviously I've got no interest in doing that per se, and also I'm not a technologist. But I think part of LinkedIn's problem is obviously a lot of the data on LinkedIn is being inputted by the users themselves, and they're trying to force it into a taxonomy that is obviously it wasn't there before the users had actually input it in. So they're trying to infer what the user means, and they're trying to stick people in various places. And
they're doing a bad job. Now, I think if LinkedIn threw away completely all of their software and gave their data to AI, to ChatGPT, they could build a brilliant product. They're not going to do that, right? They would build a clean product that would have good, and AI is extremely powerful. What happens? Yeah.
Sorry, go on. No, go on. Go on. I'll cut you off.
No. Another thing. So I've been talking to Dan Reid on LinkedIn Recruiter. He's been awesome, but we've spoken less this year. He's busy. And now I'm talking to somebody else about job recommendations. So I did not introduce myself. I've worked in recruiting since 2003. And recently I started drawing with AI, and I love it. And I put a part-time job on my profile that says that I'm doing drawing. Now LinkedIn recommends jobs for me that are image specialist. Okay. So I get recommendations for image specialists. Now, image specialists, in fact, are not graphic designers, which I could be. Maybe I will, I'm starting a new career. I'm not an image specialist because image specialists are medical workers. They work with X-rays. So I'm getting a recommendation for jobs for X-ray technicians. It recommends that I learn fluoroscopy and something else. And then it says, people with your skills most often apply for this job. You know what the job is? Like pulling cards at Whole Foods Market or something like that, like minimum wage jobs. These are LinkedIn's job recommendations. You know, read the articles. LinkedIn is so ahead of everybody. It will tell you, I mean, just ridiculous.
No, Adam, you've got some experience of updating your profile recently, haven't you? And didn't you get a bunch of job recommendations that were kind of off beam?
No, I added, like, I've invested in a couple of companies this year, and I've just had, I mean, honestly, somebody actually emailed me, found my email address and emailed me asking if I'd be interested in investing in their, it was something to do with artificial bull insemination or something like that. But anyway, I probably shouldn't have added that to my profile. But the thing I was going to say earlier was, the question was, I would love to be sitting in a product meeting within LinkedIn. And on one hand, Irina said, utterly clueless and hopeless. On the other side, I just wonder if every single thing that the really experienced sourcing community leaders like Irina think is clueless is actually completely deliberate because they make more money out of it. Every single thing they do
No.
about making more money and not aiding people to be able to find all the candidates with one click.
No, it's very disorganized organization. You know, the code base for LinkedIn.com and LinkedIn Recruiter and Sales Navigator are completely different programs right now. You know, when you write code, which I used to do in my past life, you try not to repeat the same thing twice. You don't do cut and paste. Okay? Yeah. LinkedIn is 3 different code bases, and they don't know how it works. Very few people within LinkedIn know how it works.
I tell you why
they're not doing things deliberately. I don't think so.
No, I don't.
They want to do things well.
Yeah, I think it's not deliberate. And here's how they might get away with it. And again, we're not ragging on LinkedIn here per se. LinkedIn is so huge, is that it will still give you enough results no matter how broken the search is. Most people may not be aware that there's a problem. It's like, okay, I've got my results. It seems to be working. And they can kind of cover it by the volume of data they've got access to. That doesn't necessarily mean it's working well. It simply means they've got like 1 billion profiles on there. Therefore, they can serve you something. And that may disguise the kind of brokenness of the system. And as it just rolls on, it will never get fixed. Obviously, it's also a 24/7, 365 days per year product as well. So there's never a time when you can pull this down and start from scratch. Go ahead, Irina.
There is a silver lining. I asked Dan, and he told me that the Boolean search will not be removed.
Okay, tell us why that's important, Irina.
Because when you do Boolean search, you can type Ford Motor Company into the company field, and you will find people. If you do not do LinkedIn selections, if you do not do what LinkedIn has calculated, you will find all those people who you're not finding by selections. You can do, if you do not use LinkedIn calculated filters like seniority function and so forth, if you do not use LinkedIn selections for companies and job titles, that is the most powerful way to search. And LinkedIn Recruiter does provide a pretty good amount of filters for that.
Okay, so what was happening? Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, that's good to know. Regardless of that, I'm assuming that you would still recommend the best way to search LinkedIn is through Google rather than within LinkedIn.
No.
Oh,
I mean, nothing beats LinkedIn Recruiter. It has 36 filters. Come on. There are things that I would search through Google. For example, LinkedIn Recruiter does not search in the education. People have great grades. None of LinkedIn systems search there, okay? Or in recommendations. I had a project last year for kids with good grades in Europe in computer science. I did it in Google just because of that.
Right, hang on. Let's run through real quick. Basically, what is, if I'm going to search people's profiles on using Google X-ray, which elements are better to search via X-ray than is within LinkedIn itself? So you're saying education would be one category, recommendations would be another.
Yeah. So David Galley, if you're there, you can give people a list. So we have it in our materials that we teach. Education, recommendations, important thing, locations of your past jobs. None of LinkedIn systems search for that. You cannot find people by searching for their past location by keyword or in any way. That is X-ray. X-ray can do tricky things like headlines, but we know a secret LinkedIn operator that also can do headlines. But there is a number of ways to become very specific in X-ray. You know, in X-ray, we're searching for pages. All Google knows is titles, URLs and content. But because of the way LinkedIn works, and Mike Santoro has contributed to that, as well as David, we can be using special operators to exactly find certain things, including headline. We can be searching for, what else, Mike? What else is there? Another problem with LinkedIn that has always been there, and we discussed this with Dan, but he refused to make the change. Any change is expensive, of course, is that people don't close their past jobs. Therefore, the statistics is inflated, you're getting the wrong profiles, you're searching for staff, you're getting managers who forgot, and so forth. And it would be great if they allowed to search for the last job. It would make all the difference in some ways, but no.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of our time, Irina. So just a quick summary. Basically, what we're saying is LinkedIn's Boolean is going to stay within LinkedIn, which is good news because we don't want to go down a system where basically you need to just put natural language input and trust that the results are there. The filters are ineffective generally because number one, they will eliminate relevant candidates that you might want to see. And also, perhaps more importantly, is that everyone else, the bulk of recruiters would still be using the filters. So you're fishing directly from the same pond, even though there may be really viable candidates within the same product that could be found via a non-filtered search. And there's certain parts of searching different profiles, different parts of the profiles, if you like, that you're better off searching off-platform via LinkedIn X-ray. I think all of this tells us that actually sourcing is still going to be a thing. I mean, I know a lot of people are very keen to say, okay, AI is solving everything, but the reason why it won't just yet is simply because the complexity of these inefficient systems, it's still going to be more efficient for recruiters to get trained on how to interrogate inefficient systems than it is for someone to build an AI to try and figure it all out. So yeah, it's interesting to know where we're at with this, and I think sourcing will remain a very high premium skill in 2024. Okay, we've got a couple of questions, and I'm going to go to them real quick because I think they're worth answering. It's David Galley here, actually. Let's say you want to build your following on LinkedIn. You put your content in a newsletter, article, or post, all focus on one area, different strokes, different posts. I'm going to answer this one myself. I hope you don't mind. But I would say post is generally the best way to generate audience simply because it has the biggest reach. A newsletter typically just goes to people who've already followed you. So you're not necessarily going to get much further. And in fact, more people are going to read the post on the newsletter than the newsletter itself. So you might as well write a post. An article alone, generally pointless. So post for sure. Everyone should set up a newsletter. That's my opinion. Whether you post or not, you should just do it. And articles, forget it for the time being. Okay, the next one I cannot answer. So in fact, it's directly addressed to you, Irina. So you're going to have to answer this one. Irina, can you help understand how DE&I pieces work on LinkedIn? How does LinkedIn recognize who is male or female? Is it based on pronouns users entered? If so, based on data from 2023, only 20 million out of 1 billion people have pronouns mentioned. Or is it scanning random data? Is it doing name recognition? How does LinkedIn understand gender? I mean, does it understand gender? Can you do some sort of gender filter on LinkedIn? I actually don't know, but Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I've
you
got to go.
cannot do
Thanks,
a
Arena.
gender filter. It's not official, right? What?
Thank you.
Adam
I've got to go.
bells.
Bye.
No
Oh, bye.
worries. See you later, Adam.
Good seeing you. So you cannot do, obviously, a gender search. I'm sure LinkedIn knows the gender for 99.999 profiles. And, come join our course on diversity. There are things like women's names, as trivial as it sounds, is an excellent filter. Why is it excellent? Because it has very few false positives, and it covers, in the US, it covers like almost 90% of the population. There are other things to talk about. LinkedIn absolutely uses the same things inside, and people can also tell our demographics, but there is no, I don't think there will be any diversity search on LinkedIn.
No, I think where diversity emerges is on LinkedIn Recruiter. If you do a search and it generates, let's say, a single gender dominant return, I do believe it will flag it up to you, say, hey, listen, you've done a search and actually it's come up 95% female. Maybe if you did this, and this, you could kind of do more gender balance or something. I think that feature exists, but how does it know that? It probably names. I mean, how else would you know?
Come take our class home.
Hey, I think it's
indicators, right? It's names, it's she, her, it's finished school.
All right, you're saying facial recognition. I think yes in future, but I highly doubt that they're using that right now.
Facial works pretty bad for people with darker skins. There are many issues there. So
yeah, I think in future maybe you'll correlate a bunch of things, but it's got to be first name, and then pronouns as the second thing, as the signals of gender, which is obviously not accurate. I'm not sure it's not accurate, but not perfect. But it's as good a proxy as we can get for the time being. Okay, cool. Listen, Irina, I could speak to you for ages. Before we let you go,
okay, nice. What
were you kind of involved in the social AI thing? Were you involved in that or not?
Yeah.
Can you give us a quick overview? Like how was it? I missed most of it, so I'm really disappointed.
Oh, you shouldn't have. It was great. I must say that I missed some of it. But some talks were really great. My own talk was about imaging, if you'll let me do that. So I presented imaging as, well, first of all, if you want to draw, it's like this, but then it's how AI algorithms work, zero-shot learning, interesting stuff. I think you should watch the videos, Hum. I learned a few things, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna
dive in. Start giving you tips, but we're very out of time.
No, we're out of time, and actually, Oleg kind of very kindly give me access to a ticket, so he had a freebie, and I'm going to go back in and take a look at some of the videos for sure. It's going to be interesting. I think basically it's a collection of some of the leading experimenters, if you like, that have been advanced in using different AI techniques on the sourcing side. And yeah, really great that that's been put together. Okay, listen, I've got to say goodbye to you, Irina. Wonderful to see you. Hopefully I'll see you soon. I don't know when that will be. But yeah, we'll get you back on screen in any case. So we'll keep it virtual.
Chatting,
be in person.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, Irina. Okay, folks, that is it. We're going to have to let you go. Hope you've enjoyed today's look back on 2023 on LinkedIn. It is a tool that we have to use, and to be honest with you, without it, it's going to be a desperation measure. So I know we like to critique something we use every day, but let's not forget it's a game changer in terms of how it's changed recruiting in general. The aim of the game is to get better on LinkedIn. So both of the folks that you saw today, Andy Foote, Irina Shemaeva, they both run courses. They're people that are professionals at training recruiters in how to get better. You can obviously partake in that. But even if you didn't want to spend any money, just go follow them because they post a lot of content for free and you just get a lot of learnings from following those. Okay, folks, we are finished. We've got one more to close off the end of the year. It is going to be look back on labor market, economy, state of the job market. It's going to be an overview as to the macro of 2023. That is part 4 of the look back series. We're back next week on the 22nd of December, final one of the year, 2 p.m. If you've enjoyed this show, make sure you follow the channel. That's where you get notified whenever we go live. Do follow my LinkedIn as well. I'm trying to post these videos everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn. Can't connect, obviously, because I've hit the limit, but you can follow the page, and then you'll basically be notified when I go live with these types of conversations. Okay, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.